My dear students, welcome back to this class on the poem After Blenheim. Now we shall see the stanza 5. Now tell us what it was all about. Young Peterkin, he cries, and little Wilhelmine look up with wonder-waiting eyes. Now tell us all about the war and what they fought each other for. Wonder-waiting eyes, it means eyes looking with curiosity or expecting to see or hear about exciting things. So in this stanza, young Peterkin is crying out, is speaking aloud, and he is asking his old grandfather to tell more about the war, to tell more about the history of this skull that he is having. And so both of them, both the children, grandchildren, Peterkin and the little Wilhelmine, are waiting to hear from his grandfather, and he is trying to tell the history behind this. They are asking what they fought each other, what was the reason for this war. When Peterkin heard about the battle, he became restless and curious to know more about it. For the children, the battle seemed to bring thrill and excitement along with a certain wonder and amazement because they did not know all about the war. They didn't know what the war is, what is going to happen when the war takes place. So, with a lot of excitement and thrill, they are waiting to hear from their grandfather, Alt Kasper, to speak the history behind, the story behind the skull that he has brought just now. The little Wilhelmine was inquisitive and was curious to know more about the war. She wanted to know who fought whom and the reason for it. The poet reflects upon the zeal and the enthusiasm associated with young age. The ability to question things is a special quality of goods. As we grow old, it fades away. Next stanza reads, It was the English Caspar Pride who put the French to rout, but what they fought each other for, I could not well make out. But everybody said, quoth he, that it was a famous victory. Rout means defeat, quoth means set or quoted. So it was the English, Caspar, Alt Caspar is telling it was the English people who won the war, who put the French to rout, means who defeated the French. And then he says, but what they fought for each other for, what was the reason for their, I could not make out. He could not figure out what is the reason for their fight. Everybody, all the people said it was a famous victory. So he shared that opinion. Alt Caspar and said the grandchildren that the British or the English who defeated the Franco-Bavarian army in the Battle of Blenheim. He doesn't know the reason behind the war. He could not figure out the reason for the war. In fact, he neither said why the war was fought nor tried to find its reason. He shared the public opinion that it was a famous victory. He repeated it to himself time and again. Coming to the stanza 7, it reads, My father lived at Blenheim then, yon little stream hard by. They burnt his dwelling to the ground, and he was forced to fly. So with his wife and child he fled, nor had he where to rest his head. Here, yon means beyond or that, had by means very, very near, dwelling means house, dwelling to the ground means completely destroyed, totally destroyed, fled means run away. Again, you see that rhyming scheme A, B, C, B, D, D pattern is followed here. So here what the Alt Caspar is remembering from the past some of the scenarios of the war. He narrates that his father lived in a small village of Blenheim near the river. The French wreaked havoc in the village and burned homes of several innocent people to the ground. Consequently, the villagers were forced to migrate in search of shelter and food. Caspar, along with his parents, fled to a different place. They could not find a home because of the impending war. They became homeless. They had to roam from one place to another seeking the rest. So here we are told Caspar's father lived at Blenheim at that time, and that river was very close by, or he was living very close to that river. The army destroyed, they means the army, the people who came to attack their village, they destroyed their entire village. The houses and the huts were brought down, destroyed completely, and then people were forced to fly. Here he and his family was forced to fly. His father was asked to escape from there, or they ran for their life with his wife and children. His child is Caspar, this old Caspar, and his father and his mother, they together run for life. So what we have here, they did, when they went to the another place, they didn't have a home, they didn't have a shelter, they didn't have a dwelling. They had to go from place to place in search of a place to lay their head. Coming to the stanzas 8, it is read, with fire and sword the country around was wasted far and wide, and many a childing mother then and newborn baby died. And things like that, must be at every famous victory. This kind of things should happen in every famous victory. Fire and sword, these words show the intensity of the war. Fire and sword is showing the intensity of the war. Wasted far and wide. Wasted far and wide. It means shattered or great devastation caused. It is an emotional word. Wasted, something is wasted. It seems emotion is attached to that word. Chiding mother means pregnant mother. So here, in this stanza, the poet describes the intensity of the battle. Fire and sword are symbols of man's cruelty for man. They represent destruction, death, and horror. Wasted is an emotionally charged word. It indicates the image of a land wasted by wrong use. The purpose and dignity is not shown. It shows the futility of war and its power to destroy the land and houses. The image of a mother and baby killed in war is also seen here. It makes us see battle as catastrophic of both present and future. It powerfully evokes the death of innocent child. Whether he believes it or not, Caspar has resigned to the inevitability of death in every war. So he considers those killings casually and thinks it must be there in every such victory. Especially famous victory is intentionally repeated by the poet to create a sense of irony, to mean the opposite of what he wanted to say. Coming to the stanza 9, we read, they say it was a shocking sight. Alliteration you see here. After the field was won, for many thousand bodies here lay rotting in the sun. But things like that must be after a famous victory. Shocking means dreadful or fearsome. The field was won means the battle won. Lay means place down or remain. Rotting means decaying. So in this stanza, when the war was over, the sight of the war was something that is fear bringing, dreadful. because many thousand bodies were lay rotting. There were many bodies, dead bodies, lay there, remained there, rotten in the sun. And then Old Caspar says it has to happen in every victory, every famous victory. People reported that the battlefield was a shocking sight. The sight of thousands of dead bodies of the soldiers lay rotting in the field in the sun was fearsome. The word shocking and rotting is used to create a sense of fear. The scene of rotting reduces dead man to inhuman like. The war does not uphold the dignity of man. It indicates that the war takes away life and dignity of human beings. Last rite of the dead body is not done here. People still say that this is the cost or the price of this great victory. So, my dear friends, here we are told that thousands of bodies were lay rotting. That means these bodies were not even a kind of human burial or a human cremation, which that should have got in the normal circumstances. Coming to the stanza 10, great praise the Duke of Marlborough won and our good Prince Eugene. Why, it was a very wicked thing, said Wilhelmine. Nay, nay, my little girl, quoth he, it was a famous victory. So, in this stanza, we are told two great people, two heroes, war heroes are praised. And then Wilhelmine, the granddaughter, is saying this is not a thing to be praised. What it is? The war was something that is wicked. And then he says, it should not have happened. Why do you say that it was a famous victory? So in this stanza we see the Duke of Marlborough and Prince Eugene of Savoy became war heroes. The war lasted for many years, almost 4 years in this particular village. And the entire battle took place almost 14 years. According to Caspar, this victory brought glory to the British nation. On the one side, the granddaughter was totally confused. She exclaimed what the war was a wicked thing. She said the war was a wicked thing. She wondered how the grandfather could glorify this bloody war. On the other side, the old Caspar reiterates, says again and again that it was a famous victory. It is obvious that he is hiding all the destruction and the agony caused by the war by repeating these words that it was a famous victory. He seems to be afraid of breaking the romantic ideals of war and so carefully brought up in his mind. So he is still thinking about the war and the glories of the war. Coming to the last stanza, we read, at everybody praised the Duke, who this great fight did win. But what good came of it at last, quoth little Peterkin. Why, that I cannot tell you, said he, but it was a famous victory. When victory is achieved, we know people come together and they celebrate. But when defeat occurs, no one comes around and we become an island, we become loners. Duke got all the praise because the battle is won. Now think of that French who was defeated. Did they praise those people? Did those people praise him? Probably not. So many people praise the Duke for having won the war. Caspar recollects it with some delight and enthusiasm. Peterkin wants an answer for this victory, the very purpose of the war and what it led to. He asked, what was the good thing that came out of the war? Was there anything that has come out of the war that you can say it was a good thing? No victory can bring back the lives of which were lost during the war. People died in the war. Can we bring the life of such people? Not possible. Caspar did not have answers to such questions. All he knew and said was that it was a famous victory. So, my dear students, in this stanza, Peter Ken is once again questioning the credibility of having a war. Why we should have? What is the goodness that has come? Can the war bring the lives of the old people who are already dead and gone in the war? It is almost impossible. That's all we have today in this video. When we come back, we will see a critical analysis and further literary devices used in this particular poem. Till then, bye.